So
well, I would pitch in because I think you've painted an incredible picture of what our future would look like if we maintained the current path. But there is an alternate path, and you and Amory, of course, are leaders in this, and it really is to reduce your use and then offset the rest or use renewable energy.
Yeah.
It is that simple. And I think it's really important to also convey the sense of hope that it takes millions and millions of people doing every small step they can.
How many of you have changed out your light bulbs?
Will actually make the difference. Yeah,
right.
And let me say, if every residence in New York changed out to compact fluorescent light bulbs, you can run the entire subway system of New York on the saved energy. That's the kind of economies that one light bulbs in every socket in New York can run the subway system. Isn't that better than burning coal for the same end use, which is you want the subways to work? So that's where it's one of those dichotomies. It's this huge global issue that we all need to participate in, and yet our own contributions may be small steps, but taken cumulatively, the sum is greater than the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So it's a really important thing. There's lots of books, there's lots of pamphlets, there's lots of tips on the web for individuals, but I would encourage businesses. So those of you who are medium, small businesses, to think about your business and your suppliers and your customers, and think about how to model this for them, how to keep your own house in order with energy efficiency, transportation, how you recycle. All those things make a difference of this energy nugget. And then how do you convey that to your suppliers and your consumers? Because that's going to help make this whole thing happen.
Brand new tool to enable you to do just that. Solutions at the speed of business. Kara, are you here? Stand up. Kara Seeley, who works with us at Natural Capitalism, has brochures on this tool that you can get that will walk you step by step by step through how your business can enhance your profitability by cutting your carbon emissions and by embracing sustainability. Good.
I need that back. Thank you.
You know, the question you ask about offsets and
that's
uncertainty about them, and how can any individual or how any corporate business representative know? There's been one of the good things about the offset market, there's been lots of innovation. There's been a little bit of chaos. Chaos is not all bad. It's okay to color outside the lines from time to time. There have been some challenges and attacks on offsets, but what you see happening now, and the latest report that's come out on it, is you see a convergence in the offset market around some standards. There are third-party standards. These are protocols about how you put a project together, what it requires, what you're required to do for it to qualify as a true offset project. And there's been convergence around just a limited number of standards. In the US, there's CARC, Climate Action Reserve, Green Climate, Voluntary Carbon Standard, a gold standard. So there's a relatively limited number of highly regarded standards that you really can place your trust in. And the market has largely converged on those standards. So one of the ways you can do is you can ask and ensure that the offsets you're getting comply with one of those standards, and they have to be verified, has to be validated and confirmed by an independent third party.
And so those third parties, when you're saying that, I mean, so if I'm a customer and I say, who certifies you? That's what I should do?
We can say this is certified to VCS, or this is certified to whatever, and there's an independent third party that has to come in and
so kind of like
look at the project
USDA
design document,
standards.
do a validation report. So there's a lot of, you can either look to the short version, or you can say, okay, I want to see your project design document and your validation report, and someone will send you 100 pages of PDF, which you don't want to read, but you can. You're welcome to.
Yeah.
But the shorthand is there's convergence in the market around good standards. And what an offset is, take a half step back. Offset's really the action. What you're doing with a project that creates an offset is you are somehow stopping, I'll use that term generally, greenhouse gas pollution. So you're going to stop it either by storing it somehow in a tree, you're going to stop it by destroying it, you're going to stop it by keeping it from happening. So what you're doing when you buy a reduction is you're ensuring that if it's individual, a ton, if it's a company, it's a couple hundred, couple thousand, tens of thousands of tons of greenhouse gases don't occur that otherwise would. So you're doing a true, in the offset world, there are a few requirements. It's got to be real. So it's a real reduction. It's a permanent reduction. It's measurable. The protocols have ways to measure so you know. It's verified. So the offset means what you do with it. You take it and use it to balance out some of your footprint. You're a 21st century human being. You have a footprint, I promise you. You always will, no matter how virtuous you are. So the offset really is this balancing act. What you're balancing with is a real reduction.
Yeah, that's great. And also, it doesn't just apply to carbon. It also applies to water, right?
Yes, or renewable energy, which can also displace carbon. Okay. I was going to say, tie this back in if you want to open the water topic. Climate change, energy is the core reason we're getting this climate change, all the fossil fuel burning. But the effects of climate change are going to dramatically affect water supplies all around the world. And that's because you're not getting just warming, you're getting more erratic behavior, more black swans in the climate. You're looking, for example, in the Northwest, they've been tracking about 50 glaciers over the last 30 years, and 5 of them have disappeared already. And the rest of them are in decline. So you're looking at that kind of effect. Now, what happens to the water supply in the Northwest that normally has water stored over the winter in those glaciers and over time, and now it is not there to be stored? You have higher runoff, more erosion, more ditch control. The water systems aren't capable of holding it.
You're going to depress us too?
Even in what? Yeah, depress you too. I'm about to come out of the depression. We're about to get optimism here. But the issue is that climate change is going to have a big impact on water supply, domestic water supply, water in the ecosystem, and how it gets absorbed into the earth and then used by humans. So one of the things that Bonneville Environmental Foundation is working on is watershed restoration. And we recently developed a new product called a water restoration certificate. And I, for example, use about 25,000 gallons of water a year in my home, bathing, gardening. I've reduced it. I use low-flow shower heads. But in the end, I still have a water footprint. That water footprint is now, that amount of gallons is going to a critically dewatered stream that is valuable for fish, but runs dry in the summer. And we have developed a mechanism that, again, is certified by the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. And we use a third party to ensure that that 25,000 gallons goes into that stream at the time it's needed for ecological benefit.
And how is that done?
Well, essentially, there are some states where water rights, if I'm a farmer and I own a senior water right, I have to use that to beneficial use.
Every state west of the Mississippi.
Yes, pretty much has this water law. And beneficial use for the last 150 years has been declared as either domestic, you're going to drink it, bathe in it, or use it for agricultural purposes. You could not leave it in the stream and actually retain the water right. So,
someone will sue you and take your water right
from
away.
you, and you would never be able to farm your property again. Some states have been advanced enough, Oregon's one of them, Montana, where they are allowing now farmers to declare beneficial use as donating that, essentially dedicating those gallons, that private water right, into the stream as a beneficial use. So in those states, we are working to work with those farmers who have crops that they used to grow simply to retain the water right. So they made the streams go dry, which they don't feel good about, but it was value to them to grow that crop because of preserving the water right. We have access through a network of folks who work in local communities to work with those farmers so that they will instead dedicate that water right into the stream.
Interesting.
And from that point on, there are water masters who walk the streams and essentially adjudicate those water rights. They ensure that my 25,000 gallons actually went into the deschutes, at the portion of the deschutes that goes dry in the summer. And that's how we managed to do this. And it's a new way for folks to try to be stewards of the environment for the remaining footprint they have. It's no excuse to not reduce your use. I just can't emphasize that enough. We are not going to, offset our way out of this problem. I believe we're going to have to find efficient ways to be more productive and more profitable, and then we're going to reduce or offset. offset.